Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Williams, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It'd be a pleasure and honor if you'd join me in prayer, please. Supreme Architect of the universe, we invoke thy blessing at this time. May this meeting thus begun in peace and closed in harmony. Amen.
Amen.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our public business meeting. Gentlemen, are there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of our April 12th, 2012 meeting.
So and second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine and seconded by Commissioner Brody. Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, all in favor of approving the minutes of April 12th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Under the report of the President, I have two things to report. Well, one thing to report and one to consider. As you all are aware, that our meetings have been being broadcast on both cable channels in Frostburg or the Cumberland. They can be seen on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock in the evening or Thursdays, 8 o'clock in the morning. But we now have just unveiled Allegheny County on YouTube. So on the website now, you will be able to view the commissioners' meetings there as well. For many, many years, we've always had the commissioners' meetings via the webcast, but now a citizen can be able to see what's happening in their government as well, so being on YouTube. And that was just launched this afternoon. The second thing that I'd like to get a consideration for you all for administrative housework is that the work sessions that we've been having on Tuesdays have been very productive. However, the timing of them has not been. It happens to be the Board of Education meets on Tuesday, the City of Cumberland meets on Tuesday, the City of Frostburg will have their work session on Tuesday, and in respect to those organizations, respect to the media that covers all the different meetings and pulling them in different directions, and respect to our own employees, I'd like you all to consider that we move our work sessions to Thursdays at 3 o'clock, from 3 to 4. Then have a break, and then our public meetings, again, will still be on Thursdays at 5 o'clock. Now, the only caveat with this is that if there's something of importance that needs to then go to the public session, we all need to have a gentleman's agreement that nothing will be go right from the work session to the public session without the public vetting that particular item, such as a pilot agreement or that kind of stuff. If there's some form of a birthday card or some kind of a small item that we can put onto there without objection, we may do that, but it'll be very, very small. So are you all okay with that? You're good?
We need to take formal action on this?
We just need to have just a consensus. So
I'm okay.
Commissioner? Okay. Gentlemen? Okay. All right. Well, until further notice, our work sessions are at 3 o'clock on Thursdays, and to continue then at 5 o'clock for our public meetings. That's all I have under the report of the President. Let's go ahead and move to the presentation. Item number one is the proposed road opening. This is Reed Road in Lothian. I understand that Attorney Robert Kazari is here.
Yes, I'm here on behalf of my clients, John and Carrie Allen, who are also present here. This is the first petition for the purposes of ultimately closing the road. This would be the petition to open that road. Yeah, the notice was duly given in the paper, and I've got the certificate here. I have the original petition along with the application fee. And I guess I would open it to the public if there are any persons here who have come to oppose or make any comments about this. I'll be glad to respond to them. Hearing none, I would offer at this time, Your Honor, or gentlemen, and ask that it be referred to appropriate committees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. For educational purposes, Mr. Rudd, what would be the next step?
Well, it would be appropriate that you move to have it referred to staff for recommendations, and we'll take it up after you've got your recommendations. You can take it up.
I'd like to entertain a motion, gentlemen, that we send this to staff for recommendation. So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody and seconded by Commissioner Valentine. Is there any discussion? Ms. Kathy?
Commissioners, I'll call for a roll call vote for referring this road opening petition for the Allens to appropriate staff. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving into our action agenda, item number 2. This is the Western Port Pressure Sewer Customer Transfer. I understand that Mr. Yoder, our Utilities Division Chief, is here to explain.
Hello, Commissioners.
Hello, sir.
The town of Westernport has 10 to 12 customers that are on pressure sewers that have grinder pumps, individual pumps at their houses. They don't maintain, the town doesn't maintain those pumps that's on the homeowner. And homeowners have difficulty finding companies to come out and take care of them. The town had requested that the county take over those 10 to 12 customers. They become county customers, we'd send the bill out, and also if their pump breaks, the Utilities Division would go out and take care of it. We have hundreds of them, and we stock spare parts. Our men know how to fix them, so it wouldn't be a big burden for us. I think it would relieve the town of the issue and also to provide better service to the customers. So what I would ask is approval, if the commissioners approve, to be able to have the town send letters out to the affected customers talking about the issue, and also begin preparing the transfer agreement with Mr. Rudd.
Okay. Gentlemen, would like to entertain a motion so we can have discussion on the authorize the Utilities Division to work with the town of Westernport to send letters to the affected residents explaining the proposal, and authorize the Utilities Division and County Attorney to begin drafting a transfer agreement with the town for action at a future public meeting.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Commissioner, this is actually a part of a spin-off from your meeting that you called at ACM last year of what we could do to help the town. This was something that the town approached for, and Mark has been very good at setting this agreement up, and it's actually going to work good on both sides. So this is a good example of us working together.
Okay, some consolidation.
If this is favorable tonight, we vote to do this, Mark. I most certainly hope that you'll take care of these people immediately if there's any needs or problems.
As of 5:15 today.
Thanks, sir.
Any other discussion, comments? No? Okay. Ms. Kathy, we'll call for the question.
Commissioners, there's been a motion made and seconded to approve, as President McKay explained, all the information on item 2. Call for a roll call vote. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 3 is the Allegheny Museum, Thrasher Museum Memorandum of Understanding. Mr. Matthew Diaz, our Director of Economic Development.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's with great joy, I will say, that I stand here tonight with the news that we're about to share. As you know, over the last few years, the county was operating 2 museums through the assistance of the Allegheny County Historical Society to display the Thrasher collection, carriage collection. Times have changed. We've had to reprioritize a few things. And while the county still operates the Frostburg Museum by the depot in Frostburg, our contract with the Allegheny County Historical Society expired in December, and we were in need of a champion, for lack of a better term, or a group that could assist us through preferably volunteers to help us keep that facility open for the hours when the scenic railroad runs its route from the tourist season from May through the end of the calendar year. County Administrator Everly and I worked on that for a few months over the course of the last 8 to 10 months, and after a lot of discussion, a lot of searching, we found a group that is willing to step forward and help us with the Allegheny Museum, who is located in Cumberland. The Allegheny Museum has the ability to rally volunteers to assist with their facility here, and they're also going to help us in Frostburg by helping us keep the doors open to the Thrasher Museum through the training season. So tonight, I'm going to ask you to ratify that MOU to execute that, so we can start the partnership. As you know, the tourist season is fast approaching, and the train will begin running in just a few weeks. But with us here tonight, just quickly, if you would allow me, is Gary Barwick. Gary is the president of the Allegheny Museum. To Gary's left is Vic Resendez. Vic works with Gary at the museum. And flanking those two gentlemen, on the far left is Don Callis from the Garrett County Museum. And on the far right over here is Mr. Bob Bold, who's the president of the Garrett County Historical Society, and they operate the Garrett County Transportation Museum. At this point, I'm going to ask Gary to come up and explain a little bit about the partnership that the county and the Allegheny Museum are going to forge. And also, he's going to talk a little bit about some collaboration that's going to go on between Allegheny County government, the Allegheny Museum, and the Garrett County Museum. So Gary, if you wouldn't mind.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Commissioner McKay, thank you, Commissioner Brody, and Commissioner Valentine, and County Administrator Dave Everly, and Director of Economic Development, Matt Diaz, for all your support and respect you've given the museum, particularly concerning bond bill. Now that we've said that, the museum certainly considers it a pleasure and an honor for you to consider us to operate the Thrasher Carriage Museum this year. It is located in Frostburg by the depot. We're looking forward to it. Also, we're looking forward to working with you concerning the depot and the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. Schedule-wise, we have some other ideas and plans with that. And in return, we hope it will bring some stimulation to that area. There are a few vacant buildings, and hopefully business people will gain interest in that, and it will stimulate it. Out of that, it's a longer layover, and out of that, they may merge up to Main Street in Frostburg, and we can continue to develop and build with this. What this is all about is partnership. There is no doubt, and it's obvious that we are in economic straits right now, and difficult decisions from municipal government to federal government are being made, whether you like it or not. And partnerships can do a lot of things. This partnership is a volunteer, that is to say that the museum will not be compensated whatsoever for doing this. That means it will not cost any taxpayers any money. But out of that, we have also formed a museum association, and primarily the Garrett County Museum of Transportation, their new museum up there, and the Allegheny Museum have worked together 2 years on bonding, and all the museums between us in there, that is to say Frostburg Museum, that is Gordon Roberts' House, C. William Gilbert Gallery Museum of the Arts, and all of them have formed, and we are putting out a serious booklet this year to market ourselves and route ourselves, that between there, that they will see and understand a route and hopefully travel that route and visit not only the two of us, but those. But I must say the Garrett County Museum is growing rapidly and very successfully, and we've had some exciting meetings with them. So without further ado, and the only thing I'd like to say is that the museum remains in good faith, and we certainly obligate anything that we can do in service to this community. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Robert Bolt, who is president of Garrett County Museum.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the Garrett County Historical Society and its 800 members. We, at present, are operating two museums, the History Museum, which we have had for probably 60 years, and now the new Transportation Museum, which was completed in September. The Transportation Museum is a 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art new building given to us through the Howard and Audrey Naylor Family Trust under direction of the Community Trust Foundation. We have been open since September. From September to December, we've had about 7,000 to 8,000 visitors. We were very shocked a couple of months ago when we had an ice fest with no ice. And 800 people showed up on one day, and we had calls for help for volunteers. But we are working our way along, and we told the Naylors we both had a dream for one day having this Transportation Museum, but we also had a dream of making Allegheny and Garrett counties a destination for museum visits, an overnight destination. And we have formed a really nice working relationship with the Allegheny County Museum. We've had meetings both in Oakland and here in Cumberland. We are producing a joint brochure to attract people to Western Maryland to visit all the museums. Of course, Garrett has the two in Oakland, and we have a branch museum in Grantsville. And then there would be Westernport Museum, Frostburg Museum, Allegheny Museum, Canal Place. We actually think we have enough museums and enough beautiful artifacts to justify people coming, spending a night or two, visiting everything, shopping in the stores, visiting the restaurants. We would like to make this work. Now, in Garrett County, we came up with a huge amount of vehicles. It actually shocked us. We didn't know people had all these things in Garrett County, but it worked. However, we know we need to rotate. With the floor space that we have, it is nothing like the floor space that you have in Frostburg and all. We know we need to rotate every 6 months to get our visitors to return. So in talking with Gary and Vic, we arranged a meeting with Matt Diaz, who has been absolutely wonderful to work with, and we requested of Mr. Diaz, could we possibly borrow some of the stored Thrasher vehicles from time to time? Obviously, we would take top-notch care of them, and we would have them professionally moved. That would be. And we have chosen 3 that are significant, I think, for Garrett County, in that a covered wagon certainly does speak to the northern end of the county. A lady's vis-a-vis sociable or landau would be wonderful as far as Oakland and its Victorian age. And then a racing sulky that is smaller that we know we could fit in. We have some carriages of our own. We have a couple of doctors' buggies and an Amish buggy and numerous things, and a lot of vehicles, a lot of motor vehicles. But we do need to do some rotating, and we would like to ask for your help in allowing us once in a while to borrow some of the unused Thrasher vehicles, which we would then rotate with Allegheny Museum and work completely in concert with them. So we would like you to consider our request, and we'd like to invite you to come visit the Garrett County Museum of Transportation and the History Museum also. As of May 1, we'll be open 7 days a week, we think. Sundays are sort of questionable in Garrett County, but at this point we plan to be open at least 6 or maybe 7 days a week. So thank you for your time and attention, and we look forward to working with Allegheny County in making this area quite a museum destination.
Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen, to entertain a motion to authorize the President for a memo of understanding between the Allegheny Museum, Thrasher Museum, and the county.
And second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine and has been seconded by Commissioner Brody. Is there any discussion?
I think it's a fantastic idea to see partnerships like this forward.
I think it's great. It's good. Top notch. Thank you, gentlemen. Ms. Gaffney will call for the question.
Commissioners will call for a roll call vote. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries.
I'd just like to mention, for those who don't realize it, the county has some of that collection on display out at the multi-use building now. So I think that collection's finally going to get to be seen by the public the way it should have been quite a few years.
Good. All right. Item number 4, gentlemen, is the City of Cumberland Department of Police and the Safe Streets Coalition. Now, this will be to authorize the President to execute a memorandum of understanding with other local agencies to participate in the Safe Streets Coalition initiative. I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine and seconded by Commissioner Brody. Is there any discussion? I know that this is a little bit on hold until the budget does get, when they reconvene in Annapolis. But I don't foresee any problems whatsoever. So, Ms. Kathy, we'll call for the question.
Okay. Call for a roll call vote on the approval with the City of Cumberland MOU, Department of Police Safe Streets Coalition. Commissioner Brody?
Aye.
Commissioner Valentine?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye. Motion carries. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept our consent agenda as recommended by the County Administrator.
So moved.
And second.
Ms. Kathy?
All in favor of adopting the consent agenda, Commissioners, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Ms. Kathy, do you have anything to report today?
Yes, I have 2 things this evening, Commissioners. The one is, thank you, is an announcement. We have been notified by the Governor's Office to seek nominees for the Allegheny County Property Tax Assessment Appeals Board. The biographical information forms are available in our office, and Bretta has prepared a news release that was sent out today. If anybody's interested in serving on this board, I have some details and I'd be happy to talk to anyone about it. They can just call our office or they can contact me by email.
Okay.
And the second thing is a report on some bids that were opened on Tuesday for a 4x4 pickup truck. And 4 bids were received, and the information was all referred to emergency management for the truck review. Sorry about my voice.
I was going to say, you're struggling getting it for a while, so. Mr. Everly.
Yes, Commissioners, just briefly, with our modified work session schedule, I'd like to announce that on Thursday, May the 3rd at 3 o'clock in room 212, I think it's important that we invite Paul Cale and Adam Patterson to come brief you at a work session to discuss an issue that we read about in today's paper. It's concerning the Mountain Maryland Trails Association and their desire to develop an asset which is actually owned by the county. And there was a lot stated in the article this morning, and I think there needs to be a whole lot more information vetted with respect to this initiative before we get formal approval. So if you could wait for 2 weeks, Adam and Paul have modified their schedules for that week so that they can be available to us to discuss some issues that we have related to this.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Rudd. We appreciate your attendance. More especially, we appreciate the words of wisdom. I know, someday I'll need you. Commissioners.
All right, I'll just do a little short rundown of some things that's been going on this week, starting with Friday, April 13th, Georges Creek Senior Center visit. Saturday, April 14th, Allegheny County 4-H Achievement Night. Luke Volunteer Fire Department installation of officers and Goodwill Volunteer company number 1 installation of officers. As a side note to that, when we was there that evening, they recognized a county commissioner, former Dale Lewis, for 50 years of service in Goodwill Fire Department. I think that needs to be brought to everyone's attention. This shows the kind of community service that he has put in. It's 50 years as a fireman, 3 terms as a county commissioner, and 1 term, I think, on the Board of Education. So I just thought that was noteworthy. Monday, April 16th, economic development meeting on I-68 Maryland Route 36-135 signage on behalf of New Page. Earth Day ceremony, United States Department of Agriculture, Big Savage Mountain. Tuesday, April 17th, Allegheny County Board of Education executive session and public meeting. Western Maryland Health Systems Foundation Trauma Service Tour, which again, with the sidebar note, that is something that everybody needs to see in this area. That hospital is phenomenal in what they can do there. Allegheny County College of Maryland Foundation reception. Wednesday, April 18th, Allegheny County Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee meeting. Allegheny County Chamber of Commerce after hours. And Thursday, April 19th, Allegheny County Budget Workshop, which I must say there wasn't a lot of good news there. Allegheny County Commissioners Public Meeting, which were there. Hopefully up to the town of Frostburg for their meeting tonight. So.
Certainly. Commissioner Valentine?
Going to the budget that Creed mentioned, the state still hasn't got a workable budget. They passed the doomsday budget, and then the very next day they stated that a lot of stuff in the doomsday budget wasn't legal for them to cut. The governor still hasn't announced a date for a special session, but he has mentioned possibly the second week in June. Now it's getting almost to the end of the fiscal year, so that puts entities such as the county in a real bind. We've got to get our budget done before we even know what the state's actually going to do with their budgets. It's a pretty poor way for them to be conducting business. And tomorrow I'll be in Hagerstown for a Marcellus Shale Commission meeting. There again, when we start those meetings, the very first meeting at Rocky Gap, we were told that all those meetings would be held in either Allegheny or Garrett County, since that's where the Marcellus Shale is located. Since that time, we've had, this will be the second meeting in Hagerstown. We had one meeting in Annapolis. Once again, it seems like a lot of people aren't willing to come to Mountain, Maryland to attend these meetings, but there is a movement on foot. A lot of the people are demanding that those meetings come back to our home county so that the public can hear what's being said for something that's going to affect them the greatest. So we'll keep working on that. And anybody that wants on an email list to know what's going on with the Marcellus Shale, I've got a fairly large email list. Anything I get on that, I send out to whoever's on that list. So if you want on the list, just give me your email address and I'll get you there.
Okay, wonderful. Miss Kathy, who do we have for constituents tonight?
The first is John Bailey.
Okay, wonderful. As Mr. Bailey does come to the podium, just remind everyone if you could give your name and your address for the record. Here at the county building, or the county commissioners meeting, we all do 5 minutes to speak. If after the end of 5 minutes you need another 5 minutes, in respect to those who have signed up, we'll move you to the bottom of the list. If after 10 minutes, we will then afford you a meeting, a one-on-one meeting with the commissioner before our next public meeting. Thank you, sir.
My name's John Bailey. I live at 11108 Sunrise Avenue. I come tonight to ask you gentlemen for your help. I've read articles in the paper where we've had cat problems before. Well, I think that it's time that we pass an ordinance that the cats are under the same ordinance as the dogs. They have to be laced and pinned. The reason I'm asking this is I have a neighbor, and I don't want to cause no trouble. I don't want to hurt the animals, but I have They had 3 cats, they sprayed my door, and that stinks. If you've ever had a cat, a male cat, spray your door, it took about a month to get the smell away. They used the bathroom in my flower garden, they crawl all over my hot tub. I don't want to hurt the animals. I want you gentlemen to please pass an ordinance and make the owners responsible. It shouldn't be my responsibility to clean up the cat poop or go clean my hot tub up where they crawled all over it or where they peed on the front porch. That's if I wanted that, I'd have my own animals. It's their responsibility. I wish you would pass an ordinance and make sure they do that. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
We'll take that under advisement, sir, and then be able to get some kind of a correspondence to you, and one of us will call you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Miss Kathy, who do we have next?
John Davis.
Okay.
My name is John Davis, 445 Bond Street, Cumberland. I live across the street from 446 Bond Street in Cumberland, and I want to talk about cats and abandoned property. Yes, it's abandoned property, by the way. It's one of the most hideous abandoned properties, second after the Footer Dye Works property. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm pretty much concerned that abandoned property and cats do matter in the subject. One, there's this hole up on the side of the house that a cat, along with a critter and a rat, could crawl into and not get out. Because the hole that leads into it is the basement of that abandoned said house. It burned in 2009. It had its roof yanked off in 2011. And a bunch of people broke the windows, the door, and so forth since. And what kind of court takes so long to have a property condemned that the city of Cumberland had gone to tell them that this property named 446 Bond Street needs to be condemned? I'm not saying who the judge is, but I am very disappointed. Imagine you guys in the county went to the courts about abandoned property, and it took so long for the judge to respond. How would you react if there was abandoned property across from your properties, and so forth? Thank you.
What we'll do, John, is that is a city of Cumberland thing for the abandoned, for the house and that kind of stuff, and I'll direct some correspondence to the mayor to address this, and we'll see if we can come up with an answer for you. So, okay?
Of course, I got told it was the courts who...
well, I'll see what I can do.
It's so slow and so...
Well,
thank you.
Let me see what I can do through some correspondence.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Miss Kathy, who do we have next?
Kenneth Wilmot.
Wonderful.
I'm Kenneth Wilmot. I live at 513 Fort Avenue. I'm a 20-year career veteran of the U.S. Air Force. I worked for the U.S. government another 15 and a half years on an Air Force exchange system. I now live at 513 Fort Avenue. Been living there about 20 years. I can sympathize with the gentleman here and everybody else who lives next door to cat hoarders and animal lovers. I've got 5 cats that love my back door. But anyway, get back to last week. I was here last week. I had several questions. The first question pertains to the Rocky Gap Casino. I forgot to ask one question. The 50-50% that we're going to get, the state gets, is that it? Does that come out of the gross, or does it come out of what's left over after expenses? Are we going to, is it the casino going to give us 50?
50-50. We don't receive 50-50.
Well,
The state gets 50-50. We get 2.5%, which is the drop in the bucket.
From what we understand, it's 50% of the net.
Yes, that would be after expenses.
That's correct.
Okay, now then. Also last week I requested an explanation as to why the Animal Control Shelter Board meeting was canceled. I got a call the next day, thank you Mr. Everly, that Mrs. McDaniels had canceled it due to the fact there wasn't enough for a forum. Okay, I attend all the meetings for the last year and a half at the Animal Control Board. Last October, this was discussed, and it was discussed again last January, and Mrs. McDaniels told me that she informed you people last October that these positions had to be filled, and they have not been filled yet. Now, are they going to be filled, or are we just going to do away with the
I had
board?
a meeting with Ms. McDaniel approximately 5 weeks ago. That's when I was informed about it, sir.
Well,
So to say that,
I can only tell you what
Mr.
she
Wilmot,
said.
and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that's when we told her that we would be working on fulfilling those positions, that we expected a lot of people that were interested in it, and staff was then going to give me a recommendation of 4 or 5 applicants that I would then perform my interviews with for all boards that we do at the Allegheny County. It's about 28 boards that the commissioners appoint to, and then we'll be doing that. So that will be coming up soon, sir.
Okay. Allow me to give a little review of the Animal Control Board meetings. I attended them all for the last year and a half, starting with January of 2011. There's 4 members present out of 7. There's supposed to be 7 people on the board. 4 were present. Mr. DeVore came up with his no-kill policy, which he put in place without permission from the board. It's everything at the shelter is supposed to go through the board for their action, whether they okay it or not. They all 4 voted against the no-kill policy. A week later, it came out in the paper, you people informed the public that the board does not run the animal control shelter, that you run it. Now, the question I got on this one, how about the zoning board? Who runs it? How about the liquor board? Who runs that? Do the board members run it, or do you people run it?
Those boards then make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners, is
The
correct?
liquor board run by the state.
That's correct.
Anyway, my experience with the Animal Control Shelter Board, these board meetings, okay, the next meeting was in April of 2011. It was canceled due to Mr. Brubaker not being available. In July was the next board meeting. There was 5 people from the board attended this meeting. The minutes were read, and Mrs. McDaniel said Mr. Wilmot had signed up to speak. 4 of the members got up and left. So they didn't even have no interest in what I had to say. In October, I went to the meeting. At 1:30, there was just 2 people present from the board, Mr. McDaniels and Mr. Grice. We sat there for a half hour waiting for somebody to show, and finally, Mr. DeVore and Mr. Brubaker showed up, and Mrs. McDaniels asked them for the quarterly report. They didn't have one. It was not prepared. In a total, there was 8 people at this meeting. In January, we had a meeting. They're adding to the Code 117. Anyway, from the way I look at it, and during my attendance, it's about as dysfunctional as the shelter itself. You call the shelter, hey, my neighbor's dogs are barking. How about coming up and quiet them down? They don't show. You got to go out and fill out them.
Mr. Wilmot, would you like another 5 minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have anything else that's signed up?
Yeah, we have a gentleman here.
Is it okay, Kevin? Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Wilmot.
But anyway, a person calls and says, hey, I've just been attacked by a big brown pit bull. Well, you have to come fill out an affidavit. I got a neighbor who called in and said, hey, I got a cat with 4 kittens living on my property, sleeping in the groundhog hole. How about come and get them? No, we don't pick up cats. That's not our job. Cats are free-roaming animals. We don't pick them up. Baloney. That's not in accordance with the code. Now then, if I want to build a house, There's a million things I got to go through. There's code on this. You can't even scratch the dirt until you get permission that your architect has been filed, your plans for your house and okayed by the county, state, and everybody. It's just like, I just bought a piece of property. Mr. Rudd and his gentleman over there, they did a fine job transferring that deed. I had to comply with everything. Same with Mr. Rudd. They have to comply with the law. Now then, we have a code that's supposed to run the shelter. Why don't they have to go by the code? Code says they will respond when people call them, but they don't do it.
I'd have to review that exact, but...
Well, it says they will respond and diligently seek out, and they will investigate the problem. Now, I filed 13 affidavits in the past year against a neighbor of mine. Unknown to everybody here, I was the front man for the whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood showed up last October. Mr. Goldstein did. He's now a fugitive from the law. He has a $2,500 bond against him. The city come and put a note on his door. He's facing a $1,000 fine for not keeping his property clean. He didn't clean it for 23 years. That's how the place looks. I've had people from ups, these people that live in Packers said, when they drive by that house, you can smell it from the street. That's what we've been living with for 10 years. Like the gentleman says, we need some action. And that's all I request. All I wanted when we started a year and a half, we asked the shelter to come up and quiet them dogs down. We didn't ask them to take the dogs away. All we wanted was peace and quiet. No, they won't do it. And I'm just fed up. All my tax dollars going into a shelter that's now called the Queen City Rescue Center. It serves no useful purpose to the taxpayer. Go out there and look and see where $407,240 was spent of our money. It could be better spent on our schools, our streets, whatever. Close the place down, rent it out to the ASPCA. They content to have millions of dollars. We could save $500,000, charge them $500,000, and come out money ahead. We'd be $1 million to the good. I'm just fed up with my tax dollars going into a worthless place that these people don't. This no-kill policy ain't never going to work. You can have the biggest building in the world. You're just going to put more animals in there, and you multiply your disease. It was quarantined for 6 months. Hundreds of cats and dogs dying, getting sick. They're not the best shelter in the world. They're the worst. They don't know what they're doing. Get rid of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilmot. Mr. Schaefer.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Schaefer. I live at 829 National Highway in LaVale. I'm here as a private citizen. Tuesday night, Commissioner McKay, before I start there, I specifically came here to talk to Commissioner Valentine about the Bay Area Restoration Fund. But before I get to that, Tuesday night, I went to the Board of Education meeting, and you were there, Commissioner McKay. And I told them that I didn't think it was a good use of county tax dollars to spend $500,000 or to have it budgeted for heating and cooling an empty building. And that particular building is this old Sacred Heart building. And I told them that down in Williamsburg, at the College of William and Mary, the city of Williamsburg had given the hospital to the College of William and Mary, and the College of William and Mary decided that the most financial or best financial way to handle that situation was to tear the hospital down and build an administration building on it, which they have done. It's a beautiful building. And so I suggested to them that they do the same thing, that they tear the building down. And as you all know, Commissioner, then I went on to say that, you know, with that $500,000, that we could use that for this dental lab that has been brought up at one of your work sessions 2 months ago. And ever since I've heard that we have the worst teeth in the state of Maryland, and that some of our citizens are so troubled by their dental problems that they are actually taking pliers and pulling their own teeth out. Call me a softie, kind of got to me. And I was kind of hoping that the Board of Education really doesn't have a use for that money by heating and cooling an empty building, that maybe they could give it back to us. Now, I understand it's budgeted money, and they have asked for over $500,000 more, I believe, than the previous year. So, Commissioner McKay, since you're kind of the front man on this, I would like to challenge you or charge you with kind of telling them that they're not getting that $500,000, and we have better use for it. And if they have a problem with that, maybe they could have some of their supporters come in here and say, well, now that we've cut the $500,000, maybe we should increase taxes. Because as you well know, I'm the only citizen who's come in here and said that we need to raise taxes.
Well, we did have someone else.
Okay.
That was last year. That was someone from the teachers union. He doesn't live in Maryland or Allegheny County, but he did request that we raise the taxes. So you're not the only person.
Yeah, and that was generous of him, since he wouldn't be paying any taxes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is, I would hope that we would withhold that $500,000 from them. Now, I understand, according to the Times News, it says here in Wednesday's paper, representatives from the Grimm and Parker Architects are scheduled to report May 8th to the Allegheny County Board of Education, providing recommendations for how best to convert the former Sacred Heart Hospital into a school. As I told you, Commissioners, down to Williamsburg, those people tore the building down. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that if you're going to build a high school, you don't want to have it combined with a hospital that's at best 50 years old.
Except the part that was built in 2003.
That is correct. And that leads me into that point. If what they're doing is trying to save part of that hospital so that they can have an administration office as opposed to having a high school, they ought to be upfront with people. Do you know what they're going to do with that part of the building if they can salvage it?
As you well know, private citizen, I'm as in the dark, as according to the Board of Education, as you are, sir.
Yes.
So I have no idea what their plans whatsoever.
And it's a very dark place for the private citizen to be in. I can imagine the angst that you suffer as the president of the Board of Commissioners and representing 70,000 taxpayers. I think that shows poorly upon their leadership skills that they exclude you from these things. But whenever it comes time for money, it's like, hand it over, Commissioner McKay, we need it. And so I'm asking you to strike that $500,000 from their budget request, and I would hope that you would use it for this dental plan so that we can help the most needy of our community get some well-deserved dental. Having said that, last week,
a restoration.
Yeah. Last week, Commissioner Valentine asked me if I agreed with Delegate Wendell Beitzel's proposal to have it set up so that the governor, whether he's Republican or Democrat, can't take money from the Bay Area Restoration Fund. It's no secret that Commissioner Valentine are 180 degrees opposite on just about any issue that's ever brought up. And there's nothing wrong with that, Commissioner. That's just the way we look at things. This particular case, we agree 100%. And I would like for his help.
Please note that.
Please note that. And I would like to ask for his help on this particular program. And what I would like for Commissioner Valentine to do is to convince the other two commissioners to sign off on a letter that's directed to the governor and Senator Mike Miller and Speaker of the House, Bush, letting them know that not only do we support Wendell Beitzel's proposal, which we now know the legislative session is over and it's gone, but that we would like the governor to keep his hands off these trust fund monies, and specifically the Bay Area monies and the transportation monies. And the governor's a smart guy, and he has smart guys working for him. He can get his money other places. Now, I have written a letter to the governor, Paris Glendenning, and whenever I did, I copied the Times News because they like to put it in. And I remember whenever it appeared, it was about the National Highway Project. And I take great pride in that because I was able to get it accomplished as a private citizen. And anyway, I remember some of my co-workers saying, "You'll never get that done, Mr. Schaefer. You'll never get that done, Kevin." And they laughed. You're writing a letter to the governor. But what I put in there was, all the hard work that I had done, the numerous state agencies that I'd talked to. And the reason why I bring that up is, first of all, I'm an egotistical ass, and I like to pat myself on the back. But the other reason is, whenever you write this letter, if you choose to do it, I would challenge all three of you gentlemen, especially you, Commissioner Valentine, to ask the citizens to sign off on it. And let's see how many citizens we can get behind this program to show the governor that we're pretty serious here in Allegheny County. And then, once we've done that, then we turn the ball over to Commissioner McKay, because he belongs to this rural group that meets with 5 or 6 or 7 other counties. Is that correct, Commissioner?
We're growing.
There you go.
That far.
And you could take it to them, you could say, I have this gentleman that's just a pain in the, well, but he's got this idea that maybe we can get this problem solved if we can convince the governor that there's all these votes out there, that the citizens of Maryland are just tired of this BS that happens downstate once a year, and we're finally going to stand up for ourselves, and we're going to use our elected officials to do the driving, because you men are the ones that have the authority and the pull to get this done. So that's why I've come here tonight, to ask Commissioner Valentine if he would spearhead this, get you other 2 gentlemen to sign off on this letter. If you'd let me, Commissioner Valentine, I'd be glad to be the John Hancock and be the first one to sign off as a citizen. And let's just see how interested our constituents are. And maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe Commissioner Valentine and I are the only ones that see this as being a bad thing, that the governor reaches into these funds and takes money out at a whim.
Well, let me inform you what we've already done.
Okay.
During the legislative session, once this bill was entered, I made a motion that MACO support that bill, which would mean that it had the backing of all the counties. Their original response was they didn't want to do it because they don't like to support a bill that they know has no chance of being passed. Brought it back up to them again. We had a discussion and we ended up with a unanimous vote of representatives from every county in the state of Maryland to support that bill. But with the support of every county in the state of Maryland, it never even got out of committee because they all like to grab that money. But it will be brought up again. So you do already have the support of all 3 county commissioners.
A letter was sent out for that. Yeah. Also, the Rural County Coalition did get behind that as one of those things that they're pushing for the Chesapeake Bay, as well as highway transportation. That was as well. If you do link up all the rural counties together, we're about 1 million Marylanders, so we're going to need a lot of paper.
Yes.
And if we'd like to challenge you, we'll go ahead and draft this letter and then figure out the spaces and all that kind of stuff. And if you'd be the first to sign and spearhead helping us collect signatures, we'd love to do that.
I'd be more than happy to do that, Commissioners. And the important thing to remember is in this MACO, that was one way to do it. But I think if the governor sees 1 million signatures, it's a lot different than if he's dealing with these MACO people who, as you well know, they know him as well as he knows them. And it's kind of a political game down there, back and forth. And
well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I hope the citizens aren't apathetic, but I think that they will be, and we'll be lucky if we get 1,000 signatures. But thank you, and let's hope that it's successful.
Okay, great. Miss Kathy, that was our last?
Yes.
Okay. And I can't get my timer to work.
I'm sorry to hear that, Commissioner.
I know, I have to go to the...
I am too, I didn't sign up.
Now.
Well, I can always talk.
Okay, reminder. Our next business public meeting will be May the 3rd, 2012 at 5 o'clock in room 100. Our next public work session will be May the 3rd, 2012 at 3 o'clock. Our preliminary budget first public hearing will be May the 3rd, 2012 at 5 o'clock in room 100. And to remind everyone that the residential electronics recycling will be May the 5th, 2012 please see our news release. Remind everyone, as I started the meeting out, we're now on YouTube, and if you would like to review this meeting, it's going to be on the web, and more especially if you want to tell other people who may not be able to make it to one of our public meetings, not be able to see it on the webcast, not be able to see it on either one of the two cable companies, they can go to the county website to see what your government is doing. Thank you very much for participating in your government. Have a good evening.